How can you destroy your business competition? And what can you do when they lie, cheat, and steal? And what can you do when they copy your marketing? And what should you do if they copy your business ideas? And what can you do to start making your competition irrelevant? That's what I'll be covering inside of this special solo episode of the Marketing Podcast Party. Let's get this party started. Yeah, I'm Daniel Dan, and let's dive right into today's topic, which, by the way, all the secrets I'll be revealing today on how to beat your competition come from my experience of helping more than 20,000 students and clients growing those businesses. Let's go. So let's get ready for some big aha moments. All right. So let's dive right in with a story. I want to start off with the story of how my competition did me dirty. All right. So in 2012, my competitors, they stole some of my ideas and my website. They completely ripped it off. So you see, in 2012, I had this crazy but powerful idea to compete. What if I did things differently? What if I did what nobody else was doing? And so I decided to test out some different marketing strategies based on proven marketing principles in a crowded market. That market was for car insurance. And because of my reputation of being a good marketer, I was invited by a company to help them generate car insurance leads. But they didn't just want a few leads, they wanted thousands of leads. Now, you see, car insurance has been sold since 1898, and billion-dollar companies with nearly unlimited budgets have been selling car insurance since before I was born. But despite the huge competition, my hunch was that my marketing idea would work. So I spent 2 weeks building my idea for a new car insurance sales process. The result was a simple website in a blog style format. And on that blog, I sent readers to an amazing article that I crafted that told a true story about somebody saving a lot of money on car insurance. And at the end of the story, I made a sales pitch for the car insurance offer. What I'm basically explaining to you in marketing terms, if you've ever heard the word advertorial, I basically created the world's first car insurance advertorial. I have verified this. I have never seen anybody else create. I hadn't seen anybody create a car insurance advertorial until I did it first. So once my site was set up, I started buying website traffic to promote it, and it was instantly successful. It was a hit, and leads started pouring in, and the car insurance company told me that the leads were converting really, really well, actually, into buyers, and they wanted more. So they increased my commission for the leads I was generating, and they asked me to dial up the traffic, and within a few months, my commission check surpassed $100,000 per month. And I had struck marketing gold, and that explains my my get up for the day. So I'm wearing my gold chain. This is a fake gold chain. I'm not the type of person that usually wears gold chains, but I decided for this episode, with the story I'm sharing, my first $100,000 month, that I would put on my for fun gold chain with my blue hair with this wild story that I'm sharing with you today. And of course, my Rainmaker t-shirt, because this was one of my original Rainmaker stories, like that I got so well known for, is basically inventing the car insurance advertorial. And basically changing the way a lot of websites started selling car insurance at the time. You can actually still, just side note, you can actually still find car insurance advertorials on the web today. It's still like a common way to sell car insurance, to generate car insurance leads. And I invented that. I was the original car insurance advertorial creator. So for about 6 months, I started making really, really good money. And I was, for 6 months, the only person with this type of website on planet Earth promoting car insurance with that strategy. But then something disappointing happened. One person, just one, it started with one, created a site just like mine. I saw their ads. I went to it. It was like just pretty much a complete copy of my layout and my words and everything. They switched up a few things, but it was pretty much a straight up copy of my website. And I was like, dang, someone copied me. Man, that's garbage. But it got worse because that one competitor turned into multiple competitors, right? As you could guess, because it was profitable for them as well, more and more people started to catch on. So one turned into 10. And before I kind of turned off my website because of too many people competing, and I still went solid for about a year and a half making commissions, but it was getting harder and harder and harder every single month. And I had, by the end of it, by the end of my run, a solid 50 copycat competitors, if not more. I've said on other podcasts in the past as a guest that it might have been as many as 100 or maybe even more than that copycat competitors who completely just ripped off what I was doing. So becoming that person that creates something new, a new marketing tip or trick or something that works, and having huge success is great until everybody starts copying you, and then like everybody's doing what you're doing, and then it just becomes kind of infuriating to be like, wow, I differentiate, I put all this mental work into it, and then everybody just started to copy me. So the question for you today: have you ever felt like your competition and your competitors were copying your every move? How did it make you feel? Did you feel like I felt at the time? And the question is there a solution? And the answer is yes, there is a solution. In fact, there are multiple solutions, and that's what we're covering in today's video. You see, I did a lot of things right when I differentiated and created my website and did everything with that marketing and started to get those $100,000 per month checks. But I made one huge mistake when it comes to following the laws of differentiating your business. And that is, what I did was too copyable. In other words, the ease of being able to copy me as a master car insurance marketer at the time was extremely easy. All people had to do with what I differentiated was simply create a similar website with a similar ad copy, or for the cheaters, all they needed to do was completely rip off the website. And there are a few people that they word for word copied my website and image for image copied my website. And it was too easy. How hard is it to copy and paste in 2025? It's not, right? How hard is it to copy an image? It's not. You just swipe it. And now you might be asking, okay, legally, is there anything that you could have done? Well, we're talking about 2012 here. The internet today, 2025, is the wild, wild west still. If you can imagine, in 2012, it was more of the wild, wild west. So can you legally try to go over after people? Yes, but it's very expensive and it rarely nets you anything. Usually you're just forking out money to try to go after people, and there's nothing there. It's hard to go after people for copyright issues on the internet. So there was very, very, very little that I could do. So the question is, since I have all this experience helping people differentiate their businesses, if I could go back in time, what would I do? What could I have done to set the bar higher? What could I have done so that I wasn't so easily copied? And if I could go back in time to those car insurance marketing days, there are a lot of different things that I could have done. And so we won't go into all of them, but I'll just share one big idea that I know would have worked like gangbusters. Because you see, I knew that the way people were ripping off my website, my copycat competitors were mainly interested in making a quick buck. But I know there's one thing that usually when it comes to competition that copies you, they are too lazy to do. And so if I would have altered my sales process so that I would have started to build a real relationship with my audience and with all of those leads. I could have gained their trust and I could have helped make sure that they were taken care of through the entire car insurance sales process. I could have built a real relationship with my leads. Is that more work? Of course, it's more work, but it would have set the bar much, much higher and made it much harder for my competitors to copy me. And so here's a quicker or a deeper explanation of what I could have done. First, I could have easily, for example, captured all of the customers' email and other data for myself before sending it over to the car insurance offers. And then once I had that data for myself, I could have not only made sure that everything worked easily with their process of switching over to a different car insurance company, but I could have also maintained that relationship while providing them with additional finance offers. Now, I say that, and you might not exactly know what I'm referring to in this context. You see, when I started getting those $100,000 checks, I was doing it for these car insurance companies, and they basically had me signed up as an affiliate marketer. And so, as an affiliate marketer, as you can imagine, I had the power to build lists and to promote other things as well. It just so happens that I didn't do that. I was just sending people straight to the car insurance offers, and they were collecting all of that data for themselves. And everybody that ripped off my website that was trying to make a quick buck, they were doing the same thing. So I could have easily differentiated and been the guy that could have built out a better funnel, a better mousetrap, and started to build real relationships with all of those leads. And if I would have done so, we're talking about buco bucks that I could have started making, because we're not talking about, a few hundred leads here. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of leads that I was generating, hundreds of thousands of customers that could have still been on my list that I could still have maintained a relationship with and still been selling them other offers as well and helping them in other ways as well here in 2025. By the way, since that was 13 years ago, how many other times could I have gotten them to be interested in other car insurance offers? When people switch car insurance, like, they don't usually stay on it for 13 years, right? Well, some people do, but a lot of people don't. They end up switching companies a lot of times. So maintaining that relationship is something that my copycat competitors were not willing to do. And when it comes to differentiating, we say differentiate or die. We say make your competition irrelevant. You need to be willing to set the bar high enough so that the copycat competition does not want to put in the work in order to copy you. And it doesn't have to be extreme. Is it extreme for me to be smart enough to maintain a relationship with my leads? No, that's not. But there's so many businesses in 2025 that are not willing to do that. They are just looking for, hey, let's do the marketing, let's do the sales, and then let's move on. But a lot of the businesses where they start to follow the concepts of becoming a human to human business and really forming those relationships, it's a massive differentiator. It's a big way for them to stay in the game long term and to cultivate leads over years and cultivate massive valuable relationships and lists and of real human to human interactions. Okay, so that is one big thing that I could have done to differentiate. Raising the bar, raising the level of differentiation that you are applying inside of your business is a small mindset shift that can pay off in huge dividends. And it's a small mindset shift that many of my 20,000 students and clients have made over the past years in order to grow their businesses exponentially. There are lots of things that if you do them, most of your competition is not willing to do. And it's just a few of the right things, a few of the differentiated right things applied in the right way. And we say that we like to stack our levels of differentiation. And so maybe it's 3 or 4 or 5 things that you're doing that your competitors are not willing to do that set you apart from the competition that can pay off in huge dividends. So that's the big thing that I wanted to share with you today on this solo episode of the Marketing Podcast Party. 95% of your competitors are not willing to copy you if you set your level of differentiation just high enough where they're like, oh, that's too much work. If you know your competitors are thinking to themselves, that's a lot of work for me to try to copy, then you've reached the level of differentiation that you need in order to attract your dream customers while also repelling a lot of your competition from the equation, ultimately making a lot of them irrelevant. All right. So, what I want to quickly share with you real fast, just so you guys have an idea for the future episodes when I do the solo episodes, is what to expect. So I, Daniel Dan, got really good at helping businesses differentiate their marketing and their business ideas, helping them become market leaders and category kings. And the reason why is because about 10 years ago, I joined forces with one of my business partners, whose name is Pedro Superti. We created this methodology called the X Factor Effect methodology. And we went on this quest to help business owners who were struggling with unfair competition. And since then, we've helped over 20,000 different entrepreneurs and business owners differentiate their businesses, their marketing, and their sales with the goal of making that competition irrelevant. And the biggest lesson I've learned over the past 10 years while working with these entrepreneurs is that, yes, you can do things differently. And you can do so to the point where your customers will always want to buy from you because you are the one differentiating and innovating. And your business can become that market leader that paves the path to the future. And your competitors will be stuck behind you following the leader as long as you set that level of differentiation high enough. As long as your level of differentiation sets the bar high enough so that the competition says, yeah, I can see why that works, but I don't want to do that because it's too much work, right? It's just a little bit more effort that the copycat competitors, the cheaters, the liars, the ones that just rip off your ideas, that they do not want to do. Once you hit that level, you're in a whole nother realm all to yourself, and you attract the dream customers, and they're left scratching their heads wondering why they can't, why they're fighting for the scraps at the bottom of the barrel. All right. So how is all this possible? How does this X Factor Effect methodology work? Well, there are actually 9 different pillars that I teach to differentiate your business, your marketing, and your sales. 9 pillars that will help you become a market leader or category king. And the good news is that right here on the Marketing Podcast Party, I will be revealing and covering the how-to of these 9 pillars. I will mainly be covering these concepts when I do these solo podcast episodes. I love it when my guests jump on and we can talk really high-level strategies that they've uncovered for wildly successful marketing ideas. But when I do the solo episodes, my biggest value to you, the listener, is when I go deep on the methodology that has worked so well for our 20,000 students and clients. And I can easily do that by diving deep into many of the 9 pillars that we teach. All right. So I hope you are as excited as I am for any of my future solo episodes. And with that, all right, thank you for joining us in this episode of the Marketing Podcast Party. Please share this episode with your friends, family, and business partners. Also, remember that the party continues with your free copy of the Ideas That Influence book and interactive box experience. I wrote the book and created the box experience to help you with even more wildly successful marketing ideas. Head on over to bigideasbox.com to grab your copy. You'll get your copy for free. You just pay shipping and handling costs. Once again, that's bigideasbox.com for your free plus shipping copy of the Ideas That Influence interactive book box experience. I'm Daniel Din. This is the Marketing Podcast Party, and I'll see you in the next episode.